If you've ever looked at used EVs and thought, yeah, but what if the battery dies? You're not alone. The fear has kept people away from used electric cars for years. The weird part? The data says the battery usually isn't the problem. And that makes used EVs one of the most overlooked bargains in the car market right now. When most people picture a used EV, they picture a giant repair bill, a worn-out battery, a car that's one charging session away from becoming a very expensive lawn ornament. A few years ago, the concern made sense. Early batteries were less predictable, but used EV sales are hitting record levels. Not because people stopped caring about batteries, because the batteries are lasting much longer than people assumed. A gas car ages mechanically, an EV mostly ages electronically. That's a meaningful difference. A combustion engine has thousands of moving parts: heat, oil, belts, pumps, a transmission that costs more to fix than some used cars are worth. An EV motor is comparatively simple, fewer moving parts, less stuff trying to break itself. That doesn't mean EVs are indestructible. It means that expensive, scary stuff tends to last longer than most people assume. The question isn't whether an EV will need maintenance, it's whether the maintenance profile actually matches the horror story you've been told. Let's talk about the thing everyone worries about: battery degradation. Here's the part the internet undersells. Most modern EVs lose capacity gradually, not suddenly. There's no cliff, no dramatic moment where your 300-mile EV wakes up with 150 miles and an existential crisis. A vehicle that started with 300 miles of range might still have roughly 270 miles after several years of real-world use. That's not perfect, it's also not useless. For most commuters, the battery remains completely functional long after the warranty window closes. The internet talks about battery failures. The data mostly shows battery aging. Those are two different things. The one number that changes everything when shopping used EVs? Forget the odometer first. Check the state of health, the SOH reading. That tells you how much battery capacity actually remains. Two EVs with identical mileage can have wildly different battery conditions depending on how they were charged and where they lived. That's where the real buying decision happens. Used EVs make a lot of sense if you have home charging, a predictable commute, and you're not regularly driving hundreds of miles in a day. If you care about total cost of ownership, the math usually lands in your favor. Who should avoid them? Anyone who already struggles with charging access, anyone expecting gas car convenience on every road trip, anyone buying on maximum range numbers alone. Because a used EV with 85% battery health might be perfect for your life or completely wrong for it. Depends entirely how you actually drive. Here's the trade-off. A used EV often wins on running costs and wins decisively, but a used gas vehicle stays more convenient on long trips and in areas with thin charging infrastructure. A used EV only delivers on its financial promise if charging fits your routine. If it doesn't, you're not saving money, you're buying a discount and convenience. Used EV ownership scores a 2.5 out of 5 on the annoyance scale, and that context matters. Yes, the battery health uncertainty when buying. Yes, you'll spend an afternoon learning charging networks. Yes, you'll explain the state of health to a nervous family member who heard something on the news 3 years ago and has opinions. But compare that to timing chain failures, transmission slipping in 80,000 miles, and an alternator dying. The annoyance profile is different. Not necessarily worse, just different. The verdict is buy, with conditions. A used EV isn't automatically a bargain, but battery fear is causing buyers to walk past genuinely good vehicles. Buy if you have home charging, your commute is predictable, and the SOH checks out above 80%. Skip if charging is already inconvenient, you drive long distance regularly, or the SOH report is missing entirely, because the seller who can't produce that number has told you everything you need to know. The question isn't whether the battery will last forever. Nothing lasts forever, including the transmission in a 2019 Accord. But I digress. The better question is, will it last long enough for the way you actually drive? For most people in 2026, the answer is probably yes. Spend smart, stay grounded.